point loss. Jaylen Brown, another big night. He had 27, 8, and 8, but I'm told you want to highlight one of his teammates.
Yeah, the reason the Celtics have played so well this year isn't just because of Jaylen Brown, but their role players. And Neemias Queta has been amazing for them. He had 17 rebounds and 3 blocks in this game. Now, look, Joel Embiid was out, but he has been having major performances defensively for them all year. This guy was a decent backup for the Celtics last year. How they decided, based on what they knew about him, that he could be their starting center this year, and that he's been a borderline all-star player as their starting center, is a huge tip of the cap to Joe Mazzulla, Brad Stevens, and the rest of that team.
So I know, and last week, parenthetically, I just want to throw this in. I know that the 40-20 rule, that they did not theoretically meet the standard of 40-20, meaning to win your 40th game before your 20th loss. However, they are 40 and 20.
Right.
So they got to the number. They didn't get there in the order that we said.
They got the 21st, but they were right on they were at 39 and I believe in 19, right?
I think it was 38 and 20, and now they're 40 and 20, and here they are, which is why I have been saying all along that if I had a vote, and I don't anymore, right this minute, Jaylen Brown would be my MVP because of what I believe he has meant to this team that I think everyone thought might even consider tanking this season.
Well, who's done more with less? That's what you could say.
That's the point.
Right.
Scottie Pippen should have been the MVP of the league in 1994. I've been saying it for now 31 years or whatever it is, and I believe that Jaylen should be that. Now, we don't have the permission to play it, so I'm just going to explain to you in the just released second episode of Jayson Tatum's documentary, which is called The Quiet Work. This is shot, it was like 6 weeks after he had the surgery on his Achilles. And he was talking in the interview, and you know, this is all part of the documentary, and he says, look, I'm not coming back to be a role player. And 6 weeks removed from having surgery on your Achilles when you're Jayson Tatum, that's obviously a perfectly acceptable thing to say. Jayson Tatum is never going to be a role player. He's one of the 5 best players in the entire world. Right. That said, when it is released now, as it has just been, and the Celtics are having the season they are, and Jaylen Brown is having the season he is, and Jayson Tatum is the occasional lightning rod that he sometimes has been, people are going to make a big deal of it. Again, we wanted to play it for you, but we don't have the permission to do it. So, Windy, I will ask you first and foremost, as we look at the Celtics and we look at the Tatum of it all right now, how do you think this thing plays out over the next 2-3 months?
Well, if Jayson Tatum truly wants to be able to make an impact, he's going to need a ramp-up period. And so what does that mean? Does his ramp-up period training camp next year? Or is his ramp-up period, March and April before the playoffs? I mean, this is something that only he knows, because you're not going to come back out there instantaneously and be averaging 25 and 10 like we're used to seeing him. You're going to have a build-up. So if that's indeed what he wants, and look, you want to be an impact player in the playoffs. You don't really care about being an impact player for games at the end of the regular season. Then you would expect Tatum to want to try to get some games under his belt. And the one thing that you're going to hear from the Celtics on Tatum is nothing. They're not going to put any public pressure on him. They are not going to let you see him working out. There is reports of people saying he looks great in these workouts, but looking great in a workout doesn't mean anything with how does that leg feel, where is his trust level with it. So, look, I think Jayson Tatum is intended all along to want to play. That said, I cannot sit here and report to you exactly what I think is going to happen, because I think that's still in development.
The problem is, again, we talked about this last week, that the problem isn't about whether or not he should or shouldn't, because what's best for the athlete is important here for him mentally. And this has been his why the whole year, working on something to come back. They have stayed in the hunt, in fact, way more than anybody expected, to open the door of, hey, when you come back, it makes us better. Problem is the pressure that comes with that, because the minute he steps on the court and they announce that he is back, even in limited minutes, the Celtics become the favorite to come out of the East,
for sure,
and a favorite to win the championship. Might be unfair pressure. No one has come back from the injury within 12 months or less and jumped right into a playoff race or the playoffs. It's asking a lot. It might be unfair. And for him also, he can't be a role player, even if you wanted him to be, because the expectations would be he'd be a lot more.
Monica.
I'm looking at the math now at this point, though, to Wendy's point, right? Like, there's 20 games or so left to go. Like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen soon. I also am just thinking this through as an athlete. not coming back to be a role player, for sure, we understand that. But for a small stint as you rev up, like, it is, to some degree, it is inevitable. So,
and what about the impact it could have on the team? They've learned how to play this way, 40 and 20, with Brown as the main piece and a lot of other guys playing roles. He steps in, it changes the dynamic.
I do think that we were probably overblowing that just a little bit, because we talked about them forever, about needing to be broken up, and all they did is figure it out and win a championship. So I think that part will get figured out. Yes, there will be some difference, but I'm less worried about that and more worried about, like you said, the Jayson Tatum trust of it all.
And I think it's a great example of sometimes the context is everything. People are going to react to him saying, I'm not coming in to be a role player. It is important that we remind you, he said that 6 weeks removed from surgery. He didn't say it in the last 25 minutes. Okay, now I've been promising this all morning long. Michael, I want you to watch Luka Doncic as he does. Up, he's down. Now he's up again. Now he's got his dribble back, and now he makes that shot. What are we supposed to say?
Talk about the ball on a string. Like, just complete command control in this particular moment, for sure, at least.
Han?
Man.
Come on.
Yeah, when I was little, I went to see the Harlem Globetrotters.
Okay.
Curly Neal.
He had 28 points. Lakers beat the Kings 128-104. I've got Monica, I've got Alan, I got Windy. Let's run the floor through the day and the weekend in the NBA. Monica, SGA 30 points, including a poster slam and a 13-point win over Dallas.
Oh, no.
And is he running away with his second straight MVP is the question.
I mean, what do we do on this show, Greeny? We mince words, right? Running away? I don't know that, because he is obviously subject to the 65-game rule. We got to see how that plays out. But is he still the leader? Yes, he is for me.
Well, that's what changes all of these conversations, right, Alan? Like, if he makes it to the number of games, then he's the MVP, right?
Yeah, it seems like that's the obvious choice here, right? I mean, he's literally running while Monica's saying he's not running anywhere. He was running on the screen. But he is, certainly. He's on one of the best teams. He's on a defending champs. He still is playing at a high level. He's got to get, of course, to the 65 number. I think he will. But if he does, yes, I think he's the obvious choice.
Windman, sometimes teams are so good that we sort of leave them out of conversations. Beyond SGA, I mean, right now, I feel like people are saying OKC in the field. Are we in an OKC or the field kind of level with how good the Thunder are?
Well, the Spurs have been terrific this year, and they've had a great record against Oklahoma City. So you pay attention to that. But obviously, Oklahoma City at full power has proven they're a championship team. They've barely been at full power this year, and still they've been at number one in the West since day one.
All right, now let's move on to the other game yesterday afternoon on that ABC doubleheader. Minnesota beat Denver behind 21 points from Anthony Edwards. They've won 6 out of 7. Do you think we are sleeping on the Timberwolves?
Well, we shouldn't be. Why? Because recent history tells us this is a team that gets to the Final Four. Back-to-back Western Conference Finals appearances. Last year, they were 6th seed in the West.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of do this during the regular season, but when you look at them, the bench, and then you see a guy like Anthony Edwards whose scoring goes up in the postseason, that tells you this is a team you do not sleep on.
All right, so don't sleep on them. How about the other side, Monica? Denver 4-8 in their last 12 games. What do we say about the Nuggets?
So much of that is associated with their health, right? When you talk about the return of Nikola Jokic and maybe not being true to his most MVP form, and then, of course, Aaron Gordon, Peyton Watson, the other injuries that have been speckled in there as well. Listen, the thing that I keep thinking, Greeny, is a team that has the talent and the potential to get to the conference finals is going home in the first round in the Western Conference. Like, I don't think we're sleeping on Minnesota. I don't think we're sleeping on Denver. Like, that 4-5 matchup.
So you're saying there were 5, it's 5 deep in the West.
I think it will
go to the finals.
I think it will be.
By definition, there has to be a 5th team, and you're looking at it that way. Okay, so
you're including the Rockets in that conversation.
I think so. Like, and I get it. We can point to an Achilles heel for all 5. But arguably, like, you would look at it and be like, it's not out of this world.
And so that's the situation in the West. And then last night, Windy in the East, Boston handing Philly a 16